Absolutely nothing happening in the Bitcoin market. We're at the same price we were yesterday, which, hey, it's better than being hella down, I would say. Crypto fear and greed is at 60, up from 54. Does that make sense? Not really. Nothing does, really. Don't get me started. We have a Bitcoin dominant 63.4%, riding that high wave, 24-hour volume, 81.9 billion in the overall market cap, 2.97 trillion. Give or take 100 million. That's right. 94. Well, I guess no sound. Oh my God. Sound. Right when I started. That's such. It's unbelievable. So the whole stream's killed. Not that they do well that in these dire times anyway, but that for sure will kill it. Oh, I looked at it. The volume was fine. Oh well. This is a bizarre, it never happened before. Like in all of the times that I've been doing these live streams, this has never happened. This is a new gremlin. That's right. The new gremlin that just has peeped in Jimmy Coco's. Anyway, although we had a dramatic drop. Come on. A dramatic drop yesterday. You can see right here, this dramatic drop. Now, was it the negative divergence that we were talking about yesterday? Maybe. Higher highs, higher lows, still there. We really haven't reconciled it. So there could be more downside. I don't know. To me, there's not going to be a lot of movement until some major, we need someone like Michael Saylor to come in and buy, like $2 billion. Oh, wait a second. He did. Yeah, he already did. Yeah. Well, I guess that theory doesn't really work. Well, maybe we're going to need, some big money like retail. That's right. There's zero retail. Well, I don't know what's going to move the price then. Maybe monetary policy. Everybody goes from these one things, whales, retail, M2 money supply, the cope in times like these is unbelievable. I love it. I love watching it because this is, like I said, I'm here for the long game. So we won't even remember. Where's the price? What the hell is going on here? Where is the price? Is it going to work? Oh, wow. Well, some things still do work. 94.7. So I think I started Johnny December, pianomattyb OG for 20 months. Thank you very much for the channel support. Much appreciated. Van de Hayes, I don't know what Supergirl is. Never heard of it. Probably never will, unless it's as popular as Pink Pony Club. It won't really penetrate this old noggin because it took months for Pink Pony Club to even come around. People would request it. I'd be like, I don't know, Chaperone. I don't know what the hell that is. Then I learned it, and now I play it every goddamn night. I like the song. It's pretty catchy. I'm not even going to, even saying the title, Pink Pony Club, puts it in your head. That's how much of what do they call it? An earworm. This is the 4-hour noisy little so-and-so. Nothing is happening. What is the 23.693? That's where we got the bounce from. You can see it's a heavy support. It's also the 50 moving average. Those bearish confluence down there. Now, I'd like to see this play out, this negative. This, it's reversal. It's reversal negative divergence. So what that means is that we see a drop. Now, could we see a drastic drop all the way down to 88.8? Jeez. Can you imagine the sentiment? The sentiment now at 95 is low. Imagine it at 88.8 if we went, that's it. I knew it. Right? It's almost like we want it. It's like the pain. The predictability of the pain is better because we haven't seen. The thing about all-time highs is that it's like flying too close to the sun. You get there and it's, whoa. And then you immediately retrace, right? So we spend so little time at all-time highs that it reminds me of physical fitness. and this is how I draw the line. When you get fit, you become like a musician who plays shows. So, for instance, now I'm two derivatives from my initial thing. I'll probably forget what my initial thing was. But when musicians play shows, they're only as enthusiastic and excited about the last show. So if you have a great show on Friday, you feel great. But if you don't have a great show on Saturday, you feel shitty, right? And so when we get to all-time highs, we feel great, but then we immediately fitness, right? Fitness. When you get fit, you become the most fit you ever are, whatever age you were, let's 25, 50, 38, people are getting more fit as they get older these days, I find, but that becomes your baseline. So everything else underneath, let's say in the summer, you're looking great. And then, something happens and you put on a little weight. Well, then you're chasing the dragon fitness wise. So when it comes to all time highs, we chase that high, and where has it's been months, right? So we've been sitting here and we're almost collecting more bearish momentum as we go. The farther away from all time highs, the more I told you so's come out to play. And it's even worse for I see all these people are getting roasted on X. It's maybe just they'll take like these traders and they'll say, the last one I saw was what's the guy with the man bun ponytail guy? Can't remember who his name is. Anyway, he put in a short and the thing was like the price went up 170% since the short, and it has him saying, "This is the short you've been waiting for." It's like these. I mean, he could have been right too. That's the whole. It's like a flip the coin. Yeah, let's short it. And essentially, that's what happens. Like, take a look at the ding dong here. Getting massive resistance from our channel of eternal monotony's resistance at 95.5. We got a breaker. If we don't, well, I just don't know what to say. We may retest this bottom, which is 91.6. It wouldn't be great. Gareth, that's right. Gareth Soloway or something like that. Yeah, he's leading his lots of subscribers too, leading him lambs to the lion's den. Imagine some normal guy. He's a professional full-time trader, probably with a bankroll, someone else's. Maybe he takes people's money. But imagine the normal guy who's just like 9 to 5 working, comes back, watches his video. Oh, this professional told me we should short this because of this extended rally. Okay, boom, loses all his money. He doesn't care. Anyway, look at these. This is really just a volatile channel. Look at these long hair don't care wicks. Nobody cares. Price action just has been hovering around. If we really break it down, 93.5, 95, $2,000 channel for a week or so. TRD family, nobody should ever follow anyone else blindly. The problem is, though, I understand it, TRD family, because people don't have time to do your own research, especially when it comes to trading on an exchange. And now the first thing you got to know, if you're trading with Gareth Soloway, does this button still work? No, it doesn't. I was just joking that it didn't work, but it actually doesn't. This was my room. Oh, there it is. Carl Elder has gifted 5 piano B, Matty B, member shy. Thank you for keeping the lights on. Thank you very much, Carl Elder, for the support in this bearish bull market. Much appreciated. Make sure we get together there in Las Vegas. Probably at night. Probably at night would be the best time to do it. I'll be busy. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm playing the piano there in the green room lounge of backstage. So back of the main stage, there's the green room lounge where everyone kind of sits there and, I don't know, postures and counts each other's subs, something like that. I'll be playing that. XRP A11Y will also be there. That's right. We'll have to do a for full on meetup here. And here we go on the weekly, the Wookie. This is bullish. I mean, man. So probabilities are that this week closes red. That's just the probabilities. Doesn't mean it has to. Doesn't mean it will. Just means it might. Now, my hella bullish would be to skyrocket up here, break our old channel of eternal monotonies. That's a channel of ascension, I guess, at 97.6. Now, the closer we get to the 100K, the more bullish everyone's going to be. However, 100K becomes this. It's weird. So before I get there, I want to go over this. This is what I'm pretty happy about when the weekly chart is that we were eyeing up this 38.2% fib. What I wanted was to close above this because this is the do or die moment that we took all the pictures at, right? We did close. I would love this week to candle close above it, even if we get a red candle and it's like, 92.8 or something like that. That would be still bullish because we just want to stay above this line. We don't want to go below it because that would basically bring in the self-fulfilling prophecy of nothing can hold. And then we would drift off into the bear market. So we just got to keep that. It's still the most important, but 100K is also because it's this, like if we can't get over 100K, people will throw their hands up in the air and kind of capitulate out. And then we won't see them again for most of those people have already capitulated out. But the ones that haven't yet, the ones that are about to will at 100K. And then we won't see them again until 2027, something like that. Now, because there was nothing happening in the Bitcoinosphere, I thought I would continue my series on never dates. And this one is for men. It's the 5 never dates for men and a couple of bonuses at the end. So there's actually 7. Now, I want to precursor this whole thing with, I'm speaking in generalizations and stereotypes. At the end of the day, it's not all, it's some. But in my experience, my anecdotal experience, this is the 5 never dates for men that I've come up with so far. Now, number 1, pretty all their life. Now, what do I mean by pretty all their life? I mean, when they were little girls, they, could win those whatever weird pageants that they put girls in. And then when they were a teen, they were never awkward. They were still, most popular girl in school because of their looks, so to speak. And then when they got into adulthood, they'd just been pretty all their life. Now, the reason why this is a never date, why? You don't want to date a pretty girl? No, of course, everybody likes to date pretty girls. Problem with the pretty girl that's been pretty all their life is that they have no clue of reality. They live in a false economic paradigm and they have no real clue how the real world works. I would always say that they've spent their whole life on a red carpet, right? Since they were a little girl, teenager, and now as adult, the world is so unreal to them. You see these TikToks or whatever, these shorts where it's like a super plus 10 model, like maybe the prettiest girl you've ever seen going, all you have to do is manifest what you want. If you want, the greatest house in the world, you just manifest. It's like, come on, a pretty supermodel can manifest anything and she will get it. And the reason why she thinks that this is true for everyone is that her whole life has been a red carpet. Every job she went to apply for, she got. Now, if you're like me, the only job I ever got, and I haven't had many jobs, maybe it was a blessing. And when I was young and I had to get a job, the only job I really got is because someone knew someone and did a favor. It's usually my sister. I was like, can you give my brother a job? I mean, he's, is he the greatest worker? No. Are you going to probably fire him? Yeah. But can you do me a favor and just give my younger brother a job? And then I get one, right? But if you're a pretty girl, you walk into any job and you get it like that. As you probably get the manager going, Wasn't really going to hire a girl for this job, but you know what? I like you. There's something about you. We're going to hire. So they live in a false economic paradigm with no real concept of how hard life can be, because life is hard. Like, make no mistake, if you don't have that pretty privilege, you don't get anything. So I liken it to, let's say, now the inverse is the ultimate girl to date. Ugly all their life, and then they kind of sprouted and came into their good looks in their 20s and 30s, because they have a real memory of how life actually is. How hard it is to get anything you want. You got to work for it, right? So I argue a pretty girl doesn't have to work for anything. And then when they get older, so this is the last phase. Let's say you did marry pretty all their life type of person. When their looks start to fade due to social constraints, whether it's just the perception of women aging is different in our culture. Now what happens, it's like I had a deaf cat named Willow, and it would catch birds and mice and bring it to the step. And so we put a bell on it. And so you can imagine this deaf cat was like, what the hell? I can't catch birds or mice anymore. I don't know what the hell is happening. I'm doing everything the same, but I can't catch these birds or these mice. So, when looks fade, you're kind of like a deaf cat with a bell on your neck, and you can't catch the birds, and you don't know why, right? Number 2, no dad or bad relationship with dad. Now, I say this out of experience with this type of never dates, and the problem is that without a male influence, even a brother would suffice. They don't understand the fundamental difference between men and women, and when you can, depending on your algorithm, you may think men and women are the same. They're not. If you have a sister, if you have a brother, you get it. You can just see how different. You take a look at Duke when he was a boy, when he was a little boy, him playing, like he jumping in the dirt, eating boogers, just everything is just most, like, he has a cousin named Joe, same age. She would just be horrified at the things he would do, and like me, I'd be like, yeah, I did it too, right? And so just the fundamental difference. But they don't know how to handle, words, how crass. The thing about a dad is that there's no bullshit, right? So I always tell Duke that we have father-son quid pro quo, right? So when he wants something, he knows that I'm going to ask something for him, of him, in order to get this, because I want to teach him that life isn't, you don't get anything for free, especially as a man. There's nothing for free. You got to work for everything, unless you're stitched in or a rich kid, right? But that's someone else. It's not me. So he'll always offer up something. Dad, can I, if I want to do this, I'll do this for you. And I'll be like, yeah, for sure. Fine. And so it's no nonsense, but him with his mom, he can get her to do anything. Like when I go to the piano bar at 7:30, he runs the house. He's eating junk food, he's watching movies, he's staying up late. It's just the fundamental difference is different. So when you have a dad, the laying down of the law comes fast and furious. And if you've never experienced that your whole life, and say a man, your boyfriend, is laying down the law just out of, this is what I'm going to do. And they don't handle it well. And it basically, it always goes off the rail due to the misconception of how men work, I suppose. Number 3, aversion to children. Now, this one is a double-edged sword, because chapter 6 of my book I canceled when Duke was born, called The Sociopathic Penis, was called The Great Dupe. And let's say, a woman's in their late 20s, man's in their late 30s, maybe he has a couple kids, or he doesn't want a kid. And so part of the Great Dupe would be, I don't want kids either. Now, generally, that's a lie. You know, it's very rare that you'll find a woman in that age group that doesn't really want children. Now, there's some, of course, we're speaking in generalities here. There may be some that just hate it, but then we go back to an aversion for children. Okay, why do they have an? Usually, when you know, most of the girlfriends that I had, like when they would see kids, they would light up. You know, their eyes would light up. They would almost become different people. You know, they would start talking, you know, like that. Oh, like a little cat, like talking to a cat or a dog. They became, you know, maternal, you know, and that's a key indicator. I mean, at the end of the day, you're basically sussing out who's going to be a great mother and mate for the raising of the children. Outside of the relationship BS, you really have one job, and that's to raise a human. So you should be looking for someone who wants to raise a human and has, you know, loves children. So if they have an aversion to children, it's a never date, because it's just not going to work. Number 4, wears too much makeup. Now this one's a funny one because, you know, I always say men love mustaches, women love makeup, right? So like if you've watched the Piano Bar, I'll always say, hey, nice mustache, right? And then every now and then I try to grow a mustache because I like mustaches so much. And then women love makeup. You'll never hear a man tell his girlfriend, I really like your makeup. And the only time they'll probably ever comment on it is when she wears so little that they don't notice it. And they're like, wow, you look good today, right? So I would tell when my niece started wearing makeup, she's a very, very naturally pretty girl. She would be one of the, maybe one of these never dates, because she was kind of cute as a kid. And then as a teenager, she was pretty. But she started wearing makeup. And I'm like, what do you wear this? Because I'm an Archie Bunker, right? When I go over to the house, I'm like, what are you wearing makeup for? She's like, I just like makeup. And I go, okay, well, why so much makeup? I don't understand, because you have that natural beauty that everyone wants to attain. She's like, oh, you know my friends, you know, we like wearing makeup. Now I get it. That's why I say women love makeup, men love mustaches. But I do believe pretty girls have been duped by not so pretty girls. So you take a 9, natural beauty. So another caveat. I had a friend who was a photographer. This is back when photography was kind of like a thing. And she went from doing events, weddings, to only doing modeling pics. So she's from Winnipeg. I don't know where she is anymore. I think in LA. And she would only do models, supermodels. Like she went from this Winnipegger to, you know, just doing events. So I was playing a wedding, and she was doing the wedding. Kind of a high profile wedding, as high profile and stupid as it can get in Winnipeg. Anyway, she was there, and she was sat at the help table. Of course, that's where I flourish, at the help table. So we started talking, and I just started asking her questions about, you know, like who does the makeup and the lighting. And she's like, oh, no, like these girls, they don't wear any makeup. Like they're just so pretty that they don't wear makeup. There's no makeup person, you know? I'm like, well, what about like buffing it up to make it not so shiny? Isn't that a thing? She's like, no. No, we just use natural light and no makeup. So, and I mean, she's in the upper echelon of these models. I lost track of it, but anyway, so all she does is these supermodels, no makeup, and they're like, that's the bread and biscuits of her of her job. She makes a ton of money. She's a millionaire doing these photo shoots for these models, no makeup, and natural lighting. So what happens is that you have the not so pretty girls that a 6 can become a 7.2, and then too much makeup on a 9. So it evens the playing field. Makeup is it evens the playing field amongst pretty and not so pretty. So that's what I tell her. You can judge my girls. Like, listen, if you stop wearing makeup, a lot of these girls would razz you and not like you because you don't have makeup on. But ideally, that's their dream, to not wear makeup if everyone could. Plus, it's a house of lies, right? So if the representation to the world is fake, in the sense that they're wearing makeup, it's not really them, then what else is fake? What else can be fake? If the whole presentation of who they are is fake. Now, this is drastic. You know, I'm talking about those girls that wear so much makeup that it's like in those stupid butterfly eyebrow eyelashes and stuff like that, and the painted on everything. Like, imagine, to me, that's a mask. It's like a complete mask. And so I'm like, think about how ridiculous it would be if men did that. You know, like we wore makeup and stuff and had eyelashes and whatnot. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, if this is fake, what else will be fake? And the answer is maybe more than you really want to bargain for. And listen, what about like going to a cabin or going camping or going on trips? You know, like imagine if you only knew a girl for, let's say, a year and she always had perfect makeup. Part of chapter 6, the great dupe, right? She only had unbelievable makeup all the time. And then you went on a trip and that's the first time you saw her without the butterfly eyelashes and all the foundation and everything. It would be ghastly, you know. And I always say men get trapped in beards, because what happens is that like a guy will grow a beard and then get fat. And then and then he's thinking, oh my God, I can't shave my beard because everyone will see how fat my face is now. Women get caught in makeup and they realize, well, they can never go back. You know, once a blemish is, you know, mauled over, you can never, you know, really reveal it again. 5 is the same as in the never dates for women. It's bartenders and servers. And the reason why it's a little more dicey for, you know, never dates women, because they learn how to manipulate men professionally, you know. So I was always, because I never had a job, all my sales guy friends would always phone me and take me to, like, we have Joey's and Earl's here, which is like, you know, pretty girl bartenders and servers, and then business guys at lunch. So they'd take me there. And I knew a lot of the girls because of the bar, right? So they knew me, I knew them. But my sales dummy friends, they would fully believe that these girls liked them. And I would tell them all the time, you know, these girls are hired guns. You know, their job is to make you feel like, you know, you have a chance, but you don't. You know, because see that bartender there, the one guy there just kind of putting the dishes in the little portable dishwasher. It's like 50% of these girls are banging that guy. So just forget about it. Would they forget about it? No. And they would go back and back and back and back and back and still like tip her crazy. You know, maybe if I tip her more, she'll finally go out with me. And the funny thing is that they would, you know, these sales dummy friends would ask these hired guns to go out, and they'd say no. Would it stop them from ever doing it again? No, they would just try harder. Whereas if it's a girl, so for instance, when I was bartending and a girl would, you know, propose something to me, and I would, you know, skirt the issue, because you can never say no. God forbid it, you know, who knows, the head might explode. You just have to kind of be nice about it. They never came back. I never saw them. So I always knew if I didn't reciprocate some proposal, someone's never coming back to this bar, because they erase it. And this, you know, bartender server, if you go down the line, you get the stripper, right? So it's just, you don't want to be dating someone who really knows professionally how to get what they want out of dumb guys, because guess what? You might be the next dumb guy. Now, this is the bonus parts of it. I'm going to say 6 emergency workers. Now, I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but nurses have been getting a bad name on I always tell my brother-in-law, like, I'm early on everything. I was early on retard. And it looks like I'm early on nurses because I see everywhere how promiscuous nurses are. Now, not all, just some. We are talking in generalizations, but the reason I say emergency workers, nurses, doctors, military, the same as men, why they're never dates is because they live in the gallows and their time preference is high, and I mean it's short. So when you see people die all the time, you develop you only live once, a YOLO type of mentality, and so the investment into life becomes, less attractive because you see it every day, and then life is almost loses some meaning, especially the investment of. So that is, and the last one, this one is going to be a little controversial because of some of the wording I'm going to use, but I apologize in advance. This is a generalization based on anecdotal experience. Yoga instructors. Now you might be thinking, yoga instructors, what's wrong with them? Now this is where it gets controversial. In my experience, most yoga instructors are what I call born again, not a whore. I know people's mouths are dropping right now. I can't believe pianomattyb is saying such horrible things. But they're born again, not a horse, and they usually, it's part of their renaissance and their change. They got to a certain age, things didn't turn out the way they wanted to, but they were deep into destructive behavior like drinking and drugs. And then the last thing they do is, they go to India or something, probably bang the guru there, and become a yoga instructor, and then come back and they're, a yogi, and they're peaceful. But, that behavior that got them to be a yogi or yoga instructor, it dies hard. It dies hard. So they carry that into this scenario where they're different, and they're 9 times out of 10, in my anecdotal experience, they weren't different. They were just kind of trying to be born again, not a whore, and that's fine. That's good. It's better than not, right? It's better trying to change that behavior than not trying to change that behavior. And so it became my bonus 7 the 7 never dates yoga instructors is an asterisk. So you just got to be careful of some of these. I saw someone say something that was like, was it Fish? Said something that reminded me of, I left a lot out here. Now these are just things that I've come about because I've lived an uncommon existence, being a bartender or singer in a band and owning a bar. I've seen things that most men will never see. So this is coming from a high level experience of weirdness. Now, I'm not saying that they're all like this, and maybe some are exceptions to the rule. For sure there are exceptions to the rule. But, I know most of the people on this channel are older. Monkey branching. Fish, very common in online. I don't know what monkey branching is. That swinging from guy to guy type thing? Is that what monkey branching is? Yeah, well, the way I used to say that is like, so most of my friends, when they got out of their relationship with one of these never dates, and they were always a never date, so you can imagine people don't even announce that they have a girlfriend to me anymore because they know I'm going to go, oh yeah, tell me about her. Oh, well, she's a model. She grew up with her mom. I met her at Earl's as a bartender. She's studying to be a nurse. I'm like, oh my God, okay, stop it. And so when they inevitably get dumped, because that's usually what happens, because to a simp, so to speak, if they have a pretty girl, they'll let a lot go just because they're pretty, because they feel like having a pretty girl gives them social higher value. Like, I'll put up with all this shit because she's pretty. When I walk into rooms, people are like, how did you get her? Right? Now, I would hesitate to say that if you're walking into a room with one of these never dates for men, you're going to see a lot of these. And what this is, it's going to be unpopular too. This is most guys in the room going, banged her, banged her. You don't want that, right? Anyway, so when they would be always shocked that, you know, the relationship was over. But I would always say, well, these type of women are like the boat party girls. You know, they got one foot on your boat, and then another boat comes with a bigger mast, so to speak, or engine, and then they get on that boat. But they were waiting for that boat a long time before, you know, they broke up, because they're just not going to go single, right? They got to go from. I once, some crazy weekend, was partying with a bunch of my friends out of it's called Lake of the Woods, right? And a really nice place. There was this girl that we all knew. I called her the pro because she was so good with simps. She's like a circus leader. She got the simps jumping through balls and sitting there with their paws up. It's unbelievable what she did. And so she literally stayed the night at this one party. We got on the boat, went into the harbor. We're just sitting there getting gas. And a boat pulls up and she's like, see you, boys. And she hops on the other boat and she's gone. And like, I was just sitting there going, that was amazing. That was perfect execution. Unbelievable. And so that, to me, that's monkey branching. If I ever saw one. Okay, what had happened? It looks like the market didn't react whatsoever to my 5 never dates with 2 bonuses. If you have some male friends who, you know, might need a lesson on that, just share the video out. Who knows? It might change someone's life. It might save someone millions of dollars, because the worst thing that can happen is that you don't know this. You build your life up, you make a ton of money, and then you start dating one of these never dates, and next thing you know, she breaks up with you, and God, she wants half. Uh-oh. That was not the I wanted. She wants half. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video.